The FA have officially overturned Myles Lewis-Skelly's red card. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. Today's video is going to be centering around this man right here, Myles Lewis-Skelly, who has had his red card overturned by the Football Association after Arsenal's appeal yesterday was successful. To the shock and bafflement of the footballing world, on Saturday, Michael Oliver produced the 18-year-old with a red card after his cynical challenge on Wolves defender Matt Doherty. Arsenal did go on to win the game, but it was a moment, and a very controversial moment at that absolutely shocked the footballing world and confused everybody and anybody that watched that particular incident. Fast forward to yesterday, and Arsenal put in an appeal, and it was successful. The 18-year-old will not be serving the intended 3-game ban that he was supposed to, and justice has prevailed. We're going to be talking about another embarrassing moment for referee Michael Oliver, the VAR that were involved, and of course the PGMOL. And we're going to be talking about the rescinding of the red card as well. But before we get into all of that and much more, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you are new. Both things are always down for would be greatly appreciated. Get involved in the comment section as well. Let me know your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it on this very intriguing topic. Use and abuse that comment section, people, and talk to me on this. I'd love to know what you guys have to think and say on this particular issue. Right, sound good? Fantastic. Right, let's get on with the video, shall we? Let's talk Myles Lewis-Skelly and the red card that was overturned by the FA, and of course another embarrassing day indeed for the PGMOL. Justice has prevailed. The right decision has been made by the FA. Everybody, every man, woman, child, other, dog, cat, whatever, knew that the referee and VAR had made the wrong decision on the day. Myles Lewis-Skelly's challenge in the Wolves half, by the way, in the Wolves half that they were obviously defending, stopping a counter-attack, a very cynical challenge indeed. Kind of clumsy the way he went about it, but definitely not a red card in my personal opinion. Everybody could see it was the wrong decision made by Michael Oliver. The baffling thing about the whole process was, okay, maybe Michael Oliver saw something that he actually didn't see. Maybe with how fast everything was going, maybe he misread the situation. Human error on a football pitch with a referee can occur. We can make our peace with that. But that's what VAR is for. VAR is there to back him up or to either make amends for the on-field referee decision. But rather than go in and interfere and just say, you might want to go and look at that again because we think you may have got that wrong, they didn't even show him to the monitor. They didn't even tell him to go to the monitor and double check it. They just went, yeah, you're right. You're Michael Oliver. You're held in such a high regard in Premier League and English football refereeing that we will just go with whatever decision you make. It makes VAR look like a pointless addition when they don't even check these kind of things. They don't even let the referee check it. What is the point of having it there if it's not going to be used correctly? It is what everybody was saying on the day, and they were absolutely right to. Now, the fortunate thing is that Arsenal did go on and win the game. That is the fortunate thing for the PGMOL and Michael Oliver in particular. I know that obviously he's received a lot of abuse for what he did, and that is absolutely wrong, and we did talk about that in a previous video. But it could have been a hell of a lot worse had obviously Arsenal not gone on to win the game. They are of course in a title race. They are of course trying to catch Liverpool up at the top of the table. Any kind of margin of error there that could obviously tip the scales more in Liverpool's favour will obviously not go down well if you are a Gooner. So it could have been a lot worse. But just because the FA have decided to rescind the ban, and obviously just because Arsenal won the game on Saturday, does not mean we let these guys off the hook. It does not mean we let Michael Oliver, the VAR on the day, and the PGMOL as a whole off the hook. The FA made the right call yesterday. Arsenal's appeal went in the morning, allegedly, and by the evening, they managed to accept it and rescind the ban, and Lewis-Skelly will be available to take on Manchester City with Arsenal on Sunday, this Sunday coming up. But like I say, we shouldn't let them off the hook that easy. We really, really should not let them off the hook that easy, because things obviously could have been a lot worse. Things could have been a lot worse. Arsenal could have dropped points. Arsenal could have lost the game, and then we definitely wouldn't have heard the end of it. But at the same time, it is another example of refereeing incompetence and stupidity, and a failure, in my opinion, to go through the process of controversial and debatable incidents like this. In my opinion, the referee should be allowed to go to the screen. Why was he not allowed to go to the screen? Why did he not go to the screen? It was a very, very strange challenge. It's a challenge that we have seen time and time again happen. A cynical challenge that to stop a counter-attack or a breakaway from an opposition team that normally results in a yellow card. And no one could argue. Everybody would be happy if it was a yellow card, because it was the right decision. It was a cynical challenge, a stonewall foul, and a stonewall yellow card as you're ever going to see it. And yet the referee went extreme and went with the red card. And it's left obviously a lot of Gunners angry. It's left a lot of people questioning if there genuinely is an agenda against Arsenal. I don't particularly buy into that. I think obviously everybody gets affected, some more so than others a little bit, but eventually it does sort of even itself out as the Premier League campaign goes on. I'm not buying this it's all against Arsenal kind of thing. I think everybody does get it, but obviously, I think a lot more attention does get brought onto it when it is against, obviously, a top 6 club. And Arsenal have had their fair share of controversial moments this season, which I've been very vocal about. Go out and check previous videos on that if you haven't already, to know the extent of the likes of the Declan Rice, Leandro Trossard, William Saliba red cards that were shown. In this situation, I actually defended Arsenal. I said that they were hard done by. It was wrong that Lewis-Skelly was shown a red card. I don't understand the process. I don't understand how the referee came to that decision, but I'm even more baffled by the way that obviously the VAR did not interfere and just tell Michael Oliver, look, you may have seen something in real time that you may have misread. Go and check the monitor, because we think that you may have been a bit harsh there. That would have been the process, in my personal opinion. That definitely was not followed. And it leaves them very embarrassed. Despite the fact that obviously the red card got rescinded. Despite the fact that obviously Arsenal won the game. It's left them very embarrassed, because it did seem like after the game, the referee, the VAR, the PGM who doubled down on Michael Oliver's decision and were trying to stand by it, and now they've been embarrassed by the FA, who have overturned that red card. And it leaves it even more embarrassing, because whenever people talk about one Michael Oliver, they always seem to suggest that he is a gold standard referee. They always seem to suggest like he is the highest caliber of referee that the Premier League and English football has to offer. They always speak of him in the highest regard, whether it be pundits, ex-players, referees, whoever it may be. They always seem to hold him to a very high standard. And I've got to say, I don't see it, because over the past couple of years especially, I have seen this guy get stuff wrong on a consistent enough basis. Now, I'm not saying human error can't be a thing in football, especially when you're on the pitch. You may miss something. You may see something but not see it clearly because of how fast the game is, because maybe a player is obstructing you. Whatever the case may be, I'm not saying human error can't take place on a football pitch. But that's why you've got VAR behind you as a safety net to protect you and stop you from looking stupid. That's why VAR was brought in, to rectify these kinds of decisions. But as we now know, VAR is not being used for that purpose. VAR is now being used to get out of jail free of these referees that make these stupid decisions. So they can slow things down, speed things up, manipulate things slightly to make it seem like the referee's stupid decision is actually justified. That's what VAR is being used for now. It's not to rectify certain decisions. It's basically to go, well, the referee did that on the pitch, and I'm not going to be the one to tell him he made a mistake and tell him to hold his hands up and be accountable. Happens very rarely, doesn't it? It happens very rarely. And in this situation especially, it was wrong of the referee to give the red card. It was even more wrong of VAR not to interfere. I've seen a lot of these challenges, and it's very inconsistent what happens. The irony being that in the aftermath of this, the Premier League put out a high challenge article on their official website. The image that they used was that of Alexis McAllister being kicked in the chest by Jeremy Doku last season. And of course, for those of you who are in the know, the irony there is obviously that was not given as a foul. That was not given as a yellow card. That was not given as a red card. And really, it should have been. And especially when you compare that challenge to the challenge that this man made. And I think I'm right in thinking that Michael Oliver was either on VAR or officiating that game as well. I can't remember now off the top of my head, but I think he was. I could be wrong. On that. Either way, these referees are incompetent. These referees are ridiculous. And it's about time, again, that this is another example put against them of their incompetence and stupidity. And the worst part about it is, in my opinion, there's going to be no accountability for this. There's going to be no accountability. Michael Oliver will be refereeing this weekend. He'll probably get one of the top games of the Premier League. And they'll sweep it under the carpet like nothing happened. Because in their eyes, okay, they made a mistake now. It's been proven they've made a mistake. He'll still think it's right and justified. The PGMOL will probably back him up and go, he's probably right and justified. But the FA have obviously overturned it. Whatever. You know, they can have their opinion. We'll have ours. We're still doing a good job here in their eyes. You'll be back. You'll be doing refereeing this week. You'll be officiating a game this week, and probably a top game at that. They'll move on. They will move on, and there's no accountability. There is no justice properly for this, because if a manager doesn't get results, he gets the sack in the end. If a player isn't performing well, they'll get dropped or maybe sold. But a referee makes mistakes. The worst thing a referee will do is get dropped to the Championship for a game. That is the worst that will happen to a referee. They'll get dropped to the Championship. That's not a punishment. At least not in the public domain do we hear that they'll be fined. At least not in the public domain that they'll have their wages cut for that week. At least not in the public domain do we hear of any sort of punishment. It's just, you'll be playing in the Championship. You need to either be xenophobic, accused of match fixing, or on some sort of substance abuse before, and be made that into the public domain before anything happens to you that is severe enough for you to lose your job. But getting things wrong, I get it, it's human nature. But at the same time, there's no accountability. There's no accountability for these referees that constantly make these decisions. Howard Webb and the PGMOL just simply sweep it under the carpet whenever it happens. And the worst that they get is they get a week of Championship football rather than Premier League football, which is not an excuse, which is not which is not anything really. It's no accountability. It's not a punishment, and it makes it even worse as well, because if they can't get it right just by watching it in real time, the Championship doesn't have VAR, so that makes it even worse for the Championship teams that have got that guy refereeing them that week. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I've got to say this right now. The controversy is continuing. The controversy is getting out of control. And the controversies, in my opinion, are out of control and are more frequent than ever. Howard Webb was brought in to try and tidy up this mess. And he is doing a failure of a job in, I think, the past couple of years that he's been in charge of it. So who's watching over him? Because right now it just seems like he's letting all of his referees mess up week after week, game after game, and nothing's changing. Nothing is getting better. Just want to know who is taking accountability for Howard Webb in this situation. In my opinion, he should have resigned and gone a long time ago, but he's holding on to this job because no one is holding him accountable either. Absolutely ridiculous, in my personal opinion. But look, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Would love to hear from you all on what you have to say about the rescinding of Myles Lewis-Skelly's red card. And, of course, what you think about Michael Oliver and the PGMOL. I'm sure it'll make for great and interesting reading. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way up if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Both things are always and forever be greatly appreciated. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Thank you all for your either continued or even brand new support to the channel. If you are brand new, welcome along. We're glad to have you with us. But all of you guys' support is awesome. Thank you so much for that. Will always be appreciated. Never taken for granted. You guys are absolutely awesome. So thank you very much for all of that. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see you speak to you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll speak to you all again very, very soon.